What's up, everybody? Welcome back. This is Take It to the Hizzy Fantasy Football, TITTH number 39. I'm your host, Justin Bruni. I got Nick Davis and Emron Khan with me. Say what's up, guys.
What's up, guys? How you doing?
What's up, guys? Let's take it to the Hizzy.
Yep, ready to take off today with another really good show. TITTH number 39, highlighting a ton of recent news. Leonard Fournette, Alvin Kamara. Man, the league is shaking up potentially here. So let's start off with Leonard Fournette. Cut by the Jacksonville Jaguars, just completely dropped. No trade looming whatsoever. You know, they've been trying to trade him since March. They say they couldn't get any picks for him. Instant reaction, guys. What are you thinking? Where's he going to go?
Man, this has been a spiral down since they lost to any AFC Championship game. It's just, you know, as soon as they say they're committed to the rebuild, the next day Leonard Fournette's gone from Jacksonville. Very surprised that he cleared waivers, honestly, but, you know, I'm glad that he actually gets to pick a place because I did not want him going to, like, Washington, which would be the exact same situation for him. For me, I'm just glad that he's actually going to a real football team now. He's get to choose where he's going. You know, there are some great places for him to go to, but I'm just glad that we'll hopefully be able to see his potential that he's shown, you know, coming into college and going into the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like every episode we bring up the fact that the Jaguars are a perfect example of you just don't have a lot of time in the NFL. You got to take advantage of those opportunities. You know, what a fall. Every first-round pick I think they've had in the last 6-7 years is no longer on the team. You know, Fournette's, you know, dispute with them was, you know, pretty well documented, and I think that ultimately damaged any chance of them, you know, getting any compensation for him. We were just talking before the show that, you know, Kalen Ballage went for a conditional 7th-round pick, right? And for Fournette, a guy who had but goddamn Jets. Yeah. But, you know, still, Fournette had 1,700 total yards last year, 76 catches. You can't get a 7th for him. And it's in the last year of his rookie deal, but it's only like $4 million. So, you know, he does clear waivers. He gets to pick his team. I think he's gonna. The reason I think he didn't get picked up on waivers is I don't think he's getting a $4 million in a 1-year deal. I think it's going to be a 1-year deal with wherever he goes. But I am going to be curious to see where he goes. What do you guys think about the Jacksonville backfield now?
I'm all in on Devine Ozigbo. Watched a little bit of tape. I'm sold. I'm there. I'm ready to go. Raquel Armstead, not ready to start the season. You know, they're saying Ozigbo is going to have a week 1 role. I think that you need to go out and get both of these guys wherever you can grab them realistically. You know, Leonard Fournette was a guy that's going in, you know, the 2nd round. I think Ozigbo or Armstead should be kind of occupying maybe like the 5th to 7th rounds. You know, depending on how the draft is going, right? If you see running backs falling off the shelf and, you know, you've already grabbed your starting receiving crew and you need a flex and you need a running back, I think one of these guys is the answer. But I think both is the best play that you want to go forward with here, is because you want to get you know, a good share of this backfield. We've got Chris Thompson there. We've got a dark horse in James Robinson, rookie out of Illinois State. Shout out Illinois State. Go Redbirds. Yep. Yeah, so, you know, like some of those options back there, we were talking about Chris Thompson, you know, having a role still, maybe gets a little bit more volume. What do you think back there, Nick? Who are you on?
I'm on a Zigbo. I watched Nebraska a little bit because I was interested in how Scott Frost came back to his alma mater. You know, the team was very focused on the RPO, and they were focused on Adrian Martinez, who was the quarterback there. So Adrian was definitely doing the pitching and all that stuff and making the decisions on when Ozigbo got the ball. But, man, when Ozigbo got the ball, he was going somewhere. I think Justin showed me his stats earlier. It was 7 yards per touch. Is that right?
7 yards per carry. Yeah. 7 yards per carry. He had like 155 carries, over 1,000 rushing yards, and 12 rushing touchdowns. This guy does not have a ton of miles on him. His legs are fresh and ready to roll. He had his biggest production at Nebraska last year with 155 carries, 39 carries or something like that the year before, and then he just completely exploded. 2 years ago, 3.8 yards per carry. Last year, 7 yards per carry, and Nebraska would just not let him eat. For reference, Ozigbo had 155 carries. The quarterback, the RPO quarterback, Martinez, had about 140, 144. Yeah. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. They did not let that man eat. Nick instantly was like, well, how does he shape up to like Cam Akers? And I was like, well, the volume's not there, but the production per touch is booming.
It's like double, honestly. But
it's booming.
Cam Akers got fed at Florida State because, honestly, he was the only option for their offense. But, like I said, Adrian Martinez was making a decision when Ozigbo got the ball. He should have been giving him the ball a lot more. Maybe Nebraska would have done better, because they aren't really good. But, I'm really all in on Zigbo because he popped off the film to me, and he was the only person on the Nebraska offense that actually did that for me. So I'm all in for him.
Same thing. I'm going to be leaning towards Zigbo. He's actually a little bit bigger than Armstead. Sorry, guys. We're waiting for breaking news potentially on Fournette or Kamara any minute, so we got a bunch of tabs open. But yeah, with Ozigbo, I think from what he's done in college, he's flashed that ability, right, to be a big play threat. So I don't know if I'd take him quite that high, but I think for me personally in your draft, just because this is another one of those things where I wish we had preseason so you'd see how these guys look. But my hunt, yeah, at least something, right? So I think Ozigbo's the guy I'd probably lean towards right now. I'd say if you're drafting right now, your standard 12-team PPRs, I'd say maybe 9, 10-ish round. I'd feel comfortable just because of the uncertainty, Like, he's going to get work, but, how does it translate, how the offense translate? And I think Chris Thompson, he's and around that same area, like the 10 to 11 round, he's going to get a lot of catches, I feel like, in that offense. They did sign Tyler Eifert at tight end, but he can't stay healthy. So I think Chris Thompson's going to occupy that role where he's grabbing a lot of dump offs, so he could easily have a quiet little 50-catch season.
Yeah, absolutely, especially with the poor offensive line that they have in place there. I think Thompson definitely has a role, probably the most consistent because he's just the third down back. I mean, Ozigbo, he's got good size, he's got power, he's got speed. I like the explosiveness off the offensive line, cutting through the holes and things like that. But he is a guy that I look at and I see, he's going to get taken off the field during third down. He did have 23 catches last year at Nebraska. Was able to get a fair chunk of change on him. I think just a little bit over like 200 yards or so. So not terrible. Actually, it was like only 142. What am I saying? Wasn't quite that high. But yeah, I'm really high on Ozigbo, mostly because Armstead. I saw him last year and I didn't love much of it. Only 35 carries for 108 yards. They were planning on letting Fournette eat, right? So if that's kind of the mold of the offense and they need a guy that's going to come in and can be an every down back, the guy that has the most upside to do that, I think, is Ozigbo. Armstead, more of a goal line, maybe stealing those red zone touches from this group. And James Robinson's more of just a dark horse sleeper guy, really kind of waiting in the wings for an injury. One injury, I could see him potentially, leaping into this group and getting some touches. Probably not going to be fantasy relevant necessarily, though.
The one thing I do want to say about Chris Thompson is with Leonard Fournette leaving, it's not that Chris Thompson's now going to be getting some rushing attempts. This guy, I saw in Washington, he's not a 3-down back any means of the imagination.
No.
He's very small. He's a scat back. He's going to be there for the long, second downs and then also third downs. So, his role does increase a little bit, but it's not like he's going to be eating into any carries for the rushing part of this offense.
Exactly. So that's how I feel about the Jacksonville Jaguars backfield, after Leonard Fournette leaving. Just kind of closing it out. Where's Leo going? Where's he laying, Nick?
Man, I really hope he goes to the Bears.
Okay.
I think he would, bring back the hard-nosed rushing offense of the Chicago Bears. So I would love to see him there. If he goes to the Patriots, it's just Bill doing Bill. My instant reaction was, here comes Bill Belichick from left field, just sweeping him up. I'm surprised he didn't get him on waivers, but his contract was something weird. So I'm glad that he gets to choose, but either the Bears or the Patriots for me.
Okay. What do you think, Emma? Where's your best landing spot for Leo Fournette?
So, yeah, for me, I think the three that I would probably think are, I think I've heard stuff about the Steelers, possibly the Eagles with Sanders possibly being hurt, and then the Bears, right? Because of Montgomery being hurt and he's got a groin, and they don't really have a lot of running back depth.
They have no depth.
They have no depth at running back, and it just makes a lot of sense. And, Bears' new quarterback coach, John DeFilippo was Fournette's offensive coordinator last year, and Nick Foles was starting quarterback at the beginning of the year. So there's a little bit of familiarity. So, Fournette's had his, concerns about his character and, how he is in the locker room. Those two guys would probably know him pretty well. And, for what it's worth, OddsShark, as far as, favorites to get Fournette as of yesterday, they had the Bears listed as a slight favorite over the Patriots. Other teams on there were the Bucks, the Redskins, the Washington football team,
WTF.
and the Texans, because why not, right? Bill O'Brien needs to do something questionable. And then they had lower down the list the Steelers, the Seahawks, and the Falcons, Steelers. So, I think I think the Bears just make the most sense because the need's there. But I wouldn't be surprised if he decides to use this as an opportunity to play for a team where he can actually go to the playoffs. So I think I'm thinking maybe the Bucks.
Yeah, I guess I'm going to go with the Bears here. I don't really know who this guy is on Twitter or where it's coming from, but this guy says the Bears and Leonard Fournette are close to an agreement 3 hours ago. I don't know. It's only got 72 followers.
How close are they? That's 3 hours ago. Jeez.
Yeah, geez. I don't
We're
know.
not in SpongeBob time.
I mean, fantasy, I want to see him go to the Patriots. For my football sense and my fanhood, I want to see him go to the Bears. The Bears are hurting for running back right now. You know, we don't have to give up a draft pick to get him. It's an ideal situation. The only thing that sucks for fantasy with this whole deal, if he goes to the Bears, is it's a three-headed monster.
Full-blown committee.
It's a three-headed monster, and if they stick to this idea that Cordell Patterson is a running back, it's even, oh my God. I wouldn't know what to expect for value each week. You know, if he's going up against like a good defense, you know, is he not going to get used that week? You know, if they're going up against a solid rushing attack, you know, is Leonard Fournette going to get put away for, you know, Patterson and Cohen and, you know, even a little bit mix of Montgomery? I feel like the Patriots, it's just an open backfield back there. Yeah. You just take the job. Even if he comes in, it's the Patriots way. You got to earn everything. Yeah. You know, I'm seeing Bill Belichick saying Cam Newton's the hardest worker, you know, on the field right now. That's not something you probably would have thought he was saying, you know, a week ago. So, you know, the whole Patriot way thing, you know, I love it. It's a great culture piece, but at the end of the day, they still play their best players. Like, you know, Cam Newton's not going to sit. If Leo Fournette came in there, he'd be the number one guy. I know they would, you know, sell it like he's got to come in, earn the job, and do all this other stuff, but he would. Yeah, he would. And the pieces that they added, Lamar Miller, you know, so you know, Damian Harris, you know, having Sony Michel there already, not really knowing what they're going to get. I think Leo Fournette just locks that up. So pretty simple for me.
So your pick's the Patriots?
Yeah, you know, 1-2. Patriots, Bears, call one direction or the other.
Just not Washington, please.
No, I think if they wanted him, they would have claimed him.
Yeah, for his sake. Well, yeah, they would have just grabbed him off of waivers, and you know what? Honestly, shame on them. Like, you know, if you think Adrian Peterson is your guy, like for the future, like I don't know what you're doing.
Hey, you don't say that.
Sorry, man. I mean, they're talking about they're talking about cutting Bryce Love. Like, I don't get it.
No, that doesn't make any sense. Bryce Love is a nice little running back. I just think that they're just trying to change everything about that whole place. And did you hear that the NFL is taking over the investigation of the Redskins?
No, good for
Washington. Thank you. Finally, someone outside the building. I don't want to digress too much into it, but finally, someone outside of the building is going to investigate. So hopefully, something comes out and Dan Snyder sells the team. So that's all I want.
I don't know. He'll probably just get suspended for 8 games like Antonio Brown. But hashtag release the article. What the fuck? All right, moving on. Next big thing, obviously, we got to get to it. Alvin Kamara getting tossed on the trade block.
Jeez.
Team is throwing him under the bus. You referenced before we started that they offered him, what, a 4-year $50?
Yeah, one of the reporters I follow, he mentioned that there's an offer on the table from the Saints to Alvin Kamara. It's 4 years, $50 million, which is respectable, a little bit higher than what Joe Mixon got earlier today. It'll lock him up in New Orleans and give him a lot of financial security. Apparently, Kamara's agent, as they should, right, their job is to get their client the most money. They're trying to get him a higher deal. Saints, again, this is all that's coming on right now in the last few minutes, is that the Saints thought, you know what? Let's leak a trade story and bring that value back down.
And it's a common theme in the NFL. It happens
all
the time.
It does, unfortunately. So it's a situation we're monitoring closely because this is a very impactful player, right? This is a top 4 running back, not just in the NFL, but in fantasy. A lot of folks,
huge fantasy implications.
Exactly. A lot of people, including this guy, drafted, Kamara this over the weekend, thought he was secure. You know, Saints are a team competing for a Super Bowl, right? One of the contenders in the NFC. So losing him would be really huge to them. So I don't see how that happens, but it just on the surface doesn't look good, right? They had no problem paying Taysom Hill, who doesn't have a position, $21 million. And
he has many positions, sir.
Stop it.
Many positions.
He's a football player.
He plays special teams, sir. He literally catches a touchdown and then runs down the field and makes a tackle, sir. Put some respect on his name.
I would much rather have allocated that money for Alvin Kamara.
Well, they shouldn't pay him that much money.
Yeah, but
I don't know what you pay the guy who's just like, you know, does everything, like plays every position. Like who has the value card for that?
Exactly. But you know, this is really big news. So it's going to be worth monitoring, especially for those folks. You know, like if you have a draft coming up this weekend, which a lot of people probably do. It's the last weekend before the season starts. Thank God. But what do you do? What do you do, Justin, if I'm picking 4 and Kamara's on the board?
Why did you have to ask me when I have the 4th pick in a draft on Monday night? Actually, I have the 4th pick in 2 drafts on Monday night.
Well, we're here to help, man.
But one of them's a keeper league, and Kamara will be kept. But the other one, yes, just like you, I was locked in when I got the draft order sent to me. I just pumped my fist, Alvin Kamara, baby, he's mine.
Yep.
And then this morning, well, actually yesterday, we were like, oh, tomorrow's going to be crazy.
Yep.
We're going to have such a great show. We're going to talk about all this stuff. I'm like, something will happen tomorrow. Believe me.
Oh yeah.
And then this happened. Like, why? Why do you have to put me between Alvin Kamara and Dalvin Cook now, like in my draft? Like, why do you have to do that? Guys that are both in contract issues at my 4th pick. I mean, I don't want to pull Mike Thomas into that spot, but I very well may have to. But, what you were alluding to before we started is like, this is potentially a smokescreen. Maybe we shouldn't be worried. Maybe they do get the deal done, and this is just, the battle that takes place prior to signing.
Yeah.
It's millions of dollars we're talking about. It's, you got to do what you got to do.
And I don't know how much they would actually get back for him right now if they traded him. What do you think, Nick?
This is a big bummer. I was doing mock drafts, and when I did the randomizer, I would usually get around 4 or 5, and I was always pumped to get Alvin Kamara. And now this stuff's happening, and it just seems like Michael Scott's doing the negotiations here. Like he's just leaking stuff, and just it's a bummer because
Michael Scott leaks.
Yeah, but it's a big bummer because it just makes fantasy so much harder for you. So like for me, it's like, man, can I get the 6th pick or the 7th pick?
It's not a bad idea, actually. I see it all the time, especially like in our little Yahoo groups. Once the league's getting set, people are asking, "Hey, randomize the draft order. Hey, you guys want to trade some draft picks? Who wants pick 9? Pick 10's like, let me get it." like, what are you guys doing? Like, what the hell? So, I mean, maybe that's the thing to do. If you have the 4th pick and, that was the spot you were just locked into Kamara like me, maybe you should be looking to move that pick and, move back in your draft where you can get a piece where you're just comfortable drafting. I don't know. I actually don't recommend drafting out of the top 5. You should still always do that because there's always, the chance that the mouse in the house is a couple of picks ahead of you. You never know when the guy ahead of you is like, oh, Antonio Brown. Click.
You know who you should
Matt Barkley. Click.
If you get 4 at this point, with Alvin Kamara and all that news, you should just get CEH. Just go that route.
Man.
Just go there.
Yeah, until Fournette gets signed by the Chiefs for like $2 million.
Yeah, but Fournette's going to be there in like the 3rd, 4th round for you, so you can get the cuff.
I could. I'm not doing that. I'm not pulling CEH into my 4 spot. Okay, I said a little while back I was comfortable at the end of the 1st round.
I couldn't do it at 5. I just couldn't. I just, I mean, if you are pressed to take a running back in the top 4, I mean, what would you do? Dalvin Cook's got issues, right? He's a talented running back. Would it be Henry or Mixon?
I don't know.
Because Sanders is hurt, right?
I'd rather mix him because he has that receiving ability.
And he got paid.
Derrick Henry is the Ezekiel Elliott model where he's really just a rusher.
It's a damn shame. It's just really hard. I mean, obviously Kamara is going to be playing somewhere this year. I don't think this means he's sitting out. Are you guys really stretching that far?
Oh, no. He said, and also the other thing that came out for Kamara was that he had an epidural shot last Thursday, which is why he hasn't been in practice. So it's a medical thing. And surprise, surprise, he plans to be at practice tomorrow.
Okay, all right. Well, there you go. I mean,
so it's one of those things. It's like last week, when we had the news of David Montgomery, I was running around. I would say I was pulling out my hair, but as you all know, I don't have a lot of hair. But 10 minutes later, we got the news: not a torn knee, not an ACL. It's a groin, which sucks. But it's something he may not even miss games, right?
Yeah, not the end of the world. Couple weeks probably still.
Yeah. So the Kamara thing, I just take it day by day. It looks like it could just be like a negotiating ploy. Hoping he gets signed because not just for fantasy purposes, but also for football purposes. I think he's so essential to that offense. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that's a different team when he's in there and he's healthy. He's such a dynamic weapon.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking at the pieces that are left there, if he is traded, and they don't get a running back, return somehow. You're looking at Latavius Murray and Ty Montgomery out of that backfield. Now, Latavius Murray is able to put together a pretty few good productive weeks last year when Kamara was out. I think he missed like 3 or 4 games. Murray stepped in. He's a running back 1. Like, he gave you that value right away. So if Kamara does, for some reason, hold out, misses 2 to 4 weeks or whatever it is, before it's time to report, before losing all of his money, then, Murray, I think, is going to be a solid piece for you on the upfront. And yeah, where I mentioned Zigbo before, I'd say Murray's like in that same spot, especially in your drafts if people are being aggressive with the running back position, which I think they will be more so if the Dalvin Cook situation, the Alvin Kamara situation, even Leonard Fournette situation is not handled by your draft. Because you're talking about 3 running backs in the top 2 rounds, and we've been telling you that running backs are dominating 70% of the shares and picks for the top 2 rounds. This has huge repercussions on your draft.
Yeah,
you know, and so every hour is value to you before your draft. I'm almost thinking about postponing our draft. Shit, we got ours this Friday.
Yep.
I'm scared as hell. I want the 12th pick.
Yeah, it is scary because it's just, you know, especially if you've just drafted. And one of our philosophies, I think we discussed in a previous episode, is if you are lucky to pick in the top 4, the top 5, and you go with a bell cow running back, you have to. It's just like if you buy a nice car, a nice TV, you have to get insurance. You have to do it.
Yep.
You get Zeke, you get Tony Pollard. You get Kamara, you have to do Murray. It might seem like a wasted pick, but whether it's injury or something like this, you know, if Kamara gets traded to another team, and you still have Murray, guess what? You now have 2 running backs that could be top 12, top 15.
Exactly.
Right? Or if Kamara were to get hurt during the season, you have a plug and play. So it's, you know, if you've already drafted, you know, hopefully you took Murray, you took our advice, because you have to lock up these running backs if something happens.
Yeah, absolutely. So really quick to close this out, Nick, I'm going to throw this one to you. Alvin Kamara, if he is traded, I'm going to throw you a couple of names here for teams that have like the most cap for next year.
Okay.
All right. The Colts, the Vikings, Jaguars, Patriots, Jets, WTF, Washington football team. Where do you think he could go in that mix? And this is strictly, guys, just top cap candidates, people that have money. And I think a lot of these teams can use running backs. Go ahead.
My favorite spot out of those groups is the Colts. The offensive line, man, Alvin Kamara behind that offensive line would be nasty. It would bring back like Edgerrin James. The one place I think he might go, I think he might. You know, the Vikings, their window is closing. They're really invested in their defense a little bit. The Vikings seems like a good spot.
If they don't get Cook.
If they don't sign Cook,
Yeah.
If they don't sign Cook, that's where I see him going. Wouldn't want him to go to the Jets. Patriots, they're probably going to scoop up Leo. And Jaguars, that would be weird that they release Leo and sign Kamara. So, and I don't like anybody going to Washington because that's where careers go to die.
Because why?
Yeah, because why? Why would you want to go there? But yeah, Colts, Vikings, those are definitely the 2 spots where I would like for him to go to.
All right, same thing for you, Emron. Where you got him?
So of those teams you're looking at, right, it's really tough, man. It's really tough. If you look at the Vikings would make sense. That assumes Cook's gone.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he's a more dynamic player than Cook, and he's proven to be a little more reliable. Colts, I don't know how I feel about, you know, Phillip Rivers aging up there, and they already have Jonathan Taylor invested.
Mm-hmm. I think the Jaguars thing is pretty interesting. They're going to have a ton of cap. They got no real running back unless Ozigbo takes off, like we were talking about. I mean, if none of those guys in that group take off, and Kamara's a free agent.
I guess the other thing that's caused me to think, because while you guys were talking, I was looking at over the cap and just browsing around other teams.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about this before the show too. Is that usually every year the NFL cap goes up by a few million?
Yeah.
Due to COVID and all the money that's going to be lost, it's going to go down, and it may go down significantly. So,
true.
So the cap situation may change, and certain teams may be screwed. Like I remember reading about the Saints.
Mm-hmm.
I think as of now, like for next year, assuming nothing changed, it could be like $30 million over the cap or something like that. So it's really hard to see. And I think, I don't want to skip ahead if it's okay with you guys, but if he doesn't get signed to a long-term deal and he hits free agency, that free agency running that class is going to be it's going to be loaded.
Oh yeah, we were just getting to that.
Yeah.
So that whole class, we're gonna run through it here. It was our next big point of why these guys are available, why they're going to be options. So why would the Jaguars give up Leonard Fournette? Why would the Saints be so comfortable, putting Alvin Kamara on the trade block literally a week and a half before the season starts, or whatever, 8 days?
Yep.
All these running backs: Dalvin Cook, Aaron Jones, Alvin Kamara, Phillip Lindsay, Marlon Mack, Kenyon Drake, Todd Gurley, James Conner, Kareem Hunt, Tariq Cohen, shout out the Bears, Chris Carson. All these guys are going to be available.
Wow,
that's a lot of talent. So you don't necessarily, as a team or a club, you don't need to be first to the action. And if you're a player, I don't know, you don't necessarily want to be the first player signed either, because you want these other running backs to get paid so that you can, compare your production to them. Kamara and Cook are, in my opinion, they're tiers ahead of these other guys.
I think Aaron Jones is close. He's probably the closest.
Probably.
Because actually, no, I think Honestly, I think Hunt's the closest.
I was
actually going to. There's just so many of them. I forgot you said Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, Kareem Hunt. I mean, it really depends on the situation. Right?
Yeah.
Like if Chris Carson was in Tennessee, I think he would do great.
Oh, I think he'd eat.
Right? Like there's systems all over the places where you move a guy around and they become a superstar. Kareem Hunt went from Kansas City, as a lead dog rookie, led the league in rushing, and then he had to take the number 2 spot for bad behavior, just being a bad person.
Yeah.
Do better, Kareem Hunt. But yeah, you're right. No, Kareem Hunt could absolutely. He goes somewhere. He's a lead dog, getting the full volume, 300 touches. He could lead this league in rushing again easily.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
easily. So it has to be the right spot. But if you're a team like the Saints or the Jags, all these guys are going to be available next year. And I still think Cook, Kamara, they're the top ones. If you're one of these teams like the Jags that are literally going to be in the dumps, the Jets, WTF, Washington football team. Those 3 are going to be the worst 3 teams this year, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're talking potential top 3 pick, potentially, Trevor Lawrence on one of those teams, and one of these running backs. You can completely flip the script, for any of those teams. The Jets, Trevor Lawrence, and Alvin Kamara.
So one of the things
Adam Gase can mess it up.
Yeah, you're right.
So one thing I was going to add is like an interesting take. Like you mentioned those teams, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Jaguars, Jets, and the Washington team is they because this came up on a piece I was reading on Twitter about Fournette. As we all know, as no secret, Justin and I are Bears fans, so we get a lot of flack for the 2017 draft and a certain quarterback going before the other quarterback. Not saying names. We'll be okay. But another piece was saying that actually worse than that pick, because Trubisky, wrong or right, was rated as the highest quarterback by many, was the Jags. The reason they didn't take Watson or Mahomes is because they believed in Bortles. And that's what the reason I thought about that is when you talked about these teams, like the Jets took Darnold in the top 5 not too long ago.
Yeah.
The Washington team took Haskins, not quite as high, but top half of the first round.
12, 13,
10. Yeah, and Minshew, even though he was a 5th round pick, he's a young quarterback that's going good. So these teams, they might just hit reset and say, because this is going to be a pretty loaded quarterback class.
The Jets hit reset button last week.
They again this morning, yeah.
Yeah, like what the hell?
So I mean, that may not be a bad idea because you get that young quarterback, and you have the space to sign a running back like this. Like having Kamara in the backfield for a young quarterback. Oh my God.
Yeah, I just don't know if he wants to be in that situation, right? Like I don't know. We don't know the complexities between Kamara and Hill. Obviously Breeze and him, they've been doing real well together.
Yeah,
they've been doing good. So there's a connection there. If he does go to these other teams, you're going to have a less experienced quarterback at the helm no matter what. Whether it's Minshew, it's Darnold, it's Haskins. If you don't get a quarterback, but I have to imagine each of those teams is going to be adding a quarterback. Or not each of them, but one of them will. One of them one of them is going to land the Trevor Lawrence sweepstakes. And I mean, if I want to see Minshew succeed, I really don't care about Haskins or Darnold, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yep.
Minshew, the personality and all that's just a lot of fun. Haskins and Darnold, man, they just bored me the past 2 years. So,
and someone was telling, I was reading, I listened to one of a podcast. They were saying that Minshew's going to basically pull a Fitzpatrick, where just because of the way he plays, he's going to will them to a few games. So they're probably not going to have the first pick in the draft because he just has that like I won't quit attitude.
Yeah.
So I think they're still going to pick in top 3. But it's just I think the other thing that's going to happen, similar to what we saw in this year's free agency, where there were so many quarterbacks available, which is why Cam signed in July for $1 million, right? Not if he was the only quarterback available, I think he would have gone for a lot higher. But that's the other thing with these guys is like, and the running back position is already devalued, and there's so many of them free agency. It's going to really suck. So I don't fault Kamara for trying to get paid now.
The one thing I saw on Facebook, it said that CMC makes $16 million. Alvin Kamara wants CMC money, which and they
can't have it, sir.
Yeah, so you don't think he's worth that money?
No, CMC is doing something completely different. They're asking him to be literally to hold 30% of the entire volume of the offense. That's what CMC is asked to do. Kamara, he gets a good amount of volume, but and he is rightfully the identity of that offense, right? Like it's going to move through him. But when you have a guy like Latavius Murray back there that shows up the weeks that you're not working and can do the same things that you do, CMC doesn't have that guy behind him, and the team doesn't have that guy behind him. The Saints have Mike Thomas to fall back on. They have now Manny Sanders. They have Jared Cook. They have other weapons.
Hill.
Taysom Hill. He's a threat anywhere on the field, folks. quarterback, wide receiver, linebacker. I don't care.
Punter, kicker, don't matter.
So one of the other
Maybe he
things,
can't kick.
He's a baller.
He's human.
so one other thing I was reading about Kamara was that the reports are he just wants a fair contract. He's not seeking to be the highest paid running back.
Yeah.
He's not asking for CMC money. And I think this goes back to that first thing we were talking about, where it's a negotiating ploy to try to make him look like the bad guy.
If they're trying to make him look like the bad guy and he doesn't play ball with them, oh God,
Yeah.
this is so confusing. I'm not a lawyer.
Yeah, it makes you really scratch your head, like, what the hell is going on?
Drew Rosenhaus, please do better and get this contract signed. Stop trying to get that extra 2%, please. Just get them signed so we can play fantasy.
Hashtag get him signed, guys. Smash the like button, share the video while you guys got a second here. We're going to transition. I know that was a lot that we just came out with Fournette and Kamara, but it's a big deal. We got to get it out there, get our thoughts out. We all like Murray. If Kamara isn't going to be there, so definitely be looking to target him at the mid rounds. If Kamara and the news is out there that he's not going to be there, week one. You follow this, guys. Don't let it slip. And go grab Divino Zigbo. You already did it. Yep. Go grab him.
So who is going to be there for week one? Tyler Boyd in Cincinnati. I really like this guy. He's with AJ Green being hurt, I looked really deep into his injuries, and it was originally he tore his hamstring, but then he played 2 years, and then he got a turf toe. Then he got a high ankle sprain, which kicked him out for the rest of the season, and that's what he's been struggling with, trying to get back. Basically, his body compensated, and even if he comes back healthy, I don't care because Tyler Boyd is now the man in Cincinnati. I see him having more of an Justin Jefferson, even if he has a Jamar Chase LSU season like they did last year with Joe Burrow. He's going to have wide receiver one production. He's getting taken in the 5th and 7th round. I see that as value because AJ Green is getting picked 2 picks right behind him or in front of him.
Yep.
It's a toss up right now in the draft mock room, but for me, it's not a toss up. I kind of look really deep into when you try and project, you try and look at oh man, is there going to be more volume or what is actually going to be better with Cincinnati? I'm looking at the quarterback. Joe Burrow's coming in. He's a Heisman Trophy winner. They had Andy Dalton who was on his way out. So I kind of just did it this way. Last year, Andy Dalton had a forgettable year with 59.5% completion percentage, throwing the ball 528 times. That's a lot of volume. 528 times. And I don't think he started every single game, but
Nope.
That's a lot of passing volume. If Joe Burrow keeps the same completion percentage as Kyler Murray, which is 64.4. That's about 36 more touches to go around. If Tyler Boyd gets 12 touches, a third of that, 12 touches, he's looking at 100 reception year, 1,000 yards. The only thing I'm worried about is the touchdowns, but, Cincinnati is going to be a lot of garbage time, so, that's kind of the one thing. But he's going to be giving wide receiver one production. I just see Tyler Boyd benefiting most from this new era coming in, and I think he's going to be the receiver ushering in this new era. I see Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, LSU seasons for him this year, no doubt.
Yeah, Tyler Boyd's a quiet, sneaky piece for you in fantasy. This is a guy that's been averaging 5 catches a game. The past 2 seasons. He's received over 1,000 yards the past 2 seasons in the air. 90 catches last year, 76 catches the year before that. Last year, AJ Green played 9 games, and the year before that, he did get in a full 16. So I'm not sure.
Actually, AJ Green didn't play last year.
He didn't play last year.
Oh, I'm sorry.
He had 9 games, and then he played 14.
So the season before that was 9 games, and so it's been 3 seasons removed since he played a full 16 games.
Yep.
Either way, even if I had him playing 9 games last year, I'm not high on this guy. He's not someone that I'm looking to draft in the mid rounds. He's a very risky play. And I can understand actually drafting him. I see some value there, but it's all risk. Drafting AJ Green is 100% all risk, right? 9 games 2 seasons ago, no games last year. He's already banged up this camp. I'm putting the over-under on games played this season at 5.5. I mean, and that's actually the team win total. So pretty close for me between the two as far as talent-wise. Is it if they're both there, Tyler Boyd and AJ Green, and I think that's why you do see them both go in the same round. In the last mock draft that we saw AJ Green go 2nd pick of round 6, Tyler Boyd pick 4 of round 6. going right after him. So another situation similar to like our Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf talk.
Yep.
You see one go, the other one's going to follow, right? I don't actually see people taking Tyler Boyd over AJ Green, but it seems like you guys would probably be comfortable doing that in your draft. If it's round 7 and AJ Green hasn't gone yet, are you going to wait for him to get drafted, or are you like, hey, I need to grab Boyd here before someone gets Green, and then Boyd goes a couple picks later?
Once I get to round 5, I'm gonna be looking for him because I can't depend on someone else making a mistake. Like 1 through 4, I'm not going to be taking him because I'm going to be filling my lineup out with more elite players. But Tyler Boyd is going to be a great constellation pick in rounds 5 through 7. So once it's 5, start reading the board and stuff. But don't wait for AJ Green to be drafted before he is, because that's just someone that's just not reading the room, not understanding what AJ Green's been going through. Even his recovery videos, he's been looking really tentative with that ankle, and I just don't see the same explosiveness. Do I believe that he's probably still one of the best pass catchers in the league? Absolutely, but I don't think he has the same speed as he did.
Yeah, so for AJ Green, he's someone I used to love in fantasy. He's just so reliable, big play threat. His career average for receptions is almost 15 yards per catch, so anytime he's getting the ball, it's a big play. If I'm sitting there in round 5, 6, depending on who's on the board, I feel comfortable taking Tyler Boyd. One of my big things when it comes to fantasy, when you're looking at 2 players, is you always look for trends. Trends usually never lie to you. Last 3 years, for Boyd, his catches, his targets, and his yards have all gone up. For AJ Green, they've not gone that same direction. And AJ Green, if somebody takes him early, it's one of those things where you're drafting for a name. It's just a name they recognize. They're like, okay, yeah, he was good once upon a time. It's just, I hope he proves us wrong this year and comes out healthy. I'd love to see him. He was a fun player to watch, but I can't take that risk, and draft him unless it's like round. One of the reasons I won't have him on my team, I wouldn't feel comfortable taking him until around 10, 11. He's not going to last that long. He's not going to last that long. I know that. So he's not going to be on any of my teams. Tyler Boyd, I'd love it. He's been a very productive player. He got rewarded with a nice contract back in July by the Bengals, a player they've developed pretty well for the last 4 years. So I'm taking Boyd. The production's there. They're going to have much better quarterback play this year. And also, if Green plays this year, 8, 10 games, that's better for Boyd. Yeah, he's not going to get double teamed. That's not a bad thing.
Absolutely, I agree.
The way I see Tyler Boyd is he had 90 receptions for 1,046 yards and 5 touchdowns on the worst team in the NFL. Okay, and the one position that he's extremely dependent on, the quarterback. They went and got a first-round pick, a Heisman Trophy winner in Joe Burrow, and he's a pocket passer. Basically, last year was the floor for him, basically, for what I see. If there's any improvement at the quarterback position, geez, I hope there is, because, Cincinnati history is pretty bad. Achilles Smith, they got lucky with Carson Palmer. They got somewhat lucky with Dalton, but, flamed out pretty quickly. But last year was the floor for him. If there's any kind of improvement, which I do think there is, I was only talking about a 5% increase in completions for that information. 5%, I see more than that.
Over 100 catches.
I see more than that with Joe Burrow, because I was looking at Kyler Murray, who's a different type of player. He's going to be more, running the ball sometimes, but Joe Burrow's going to be sitting in the pocket slinging that ball, and I just see Tyler Boyd being his number 1 target.
Yeah, absolutely. Joe Burrow just seems like a guy that can come in and throw strikes, on every play. So I like Tyler Boyd's value this year. I do, want AJ Green in that lineup because it will help, increase Tyler Boyd's value every week. But I just don't see AJ Green making it. It's a contract year. If he gets any sort of inclination of injury, he's just gonna take a knee on the season. And I don't know why he wouldn't if he still wants to play in the NFL. If he wants a contract next year, he's gonna have to really play it safe. Any type of injuries that come along, he needs to nurse them. I mean, I don't know where he's going with this. He's gonna be 31 this year. Already hurt this camp. They're going in the same round. A couple of picks after AJ Green. I don't know if I necessarily love that, but I don't hate it. In that one, that person took 3 running backs and then took 4 wide receivers into round 7, and Tyler Boyd was their 3rd wide receiver. I think your 3rd wide receiver, 4th wide receiver in general on your fantasy team, I think that's a good spot for Tyler Boyd.
Mm-hmm. And another thing I've been reading a lot about for AJ Green, he's come up as a candidate for teams because he's playing on that. I think playing on a 1-year deal right now. Mm-hmm. Is that he could be a player that gets traded? They're playing on the tag, right? Mm-hmm. He could be a player that gets traded at the trade deadline if he's healthy. Yeah, the Bengals. If he stays healthy and he's somewhat productive, the Bengals, as much as I like Joe Burrow, I don't think they're going to be ready to compete this year. I think they're going to be an up-and-coming team. Mm-hmm. I think that offense is going to be a little bit better. They're going to be a good young team to watch. They're not going to be competing for the playoffs. So if you're a team, vying for the playoffs and you need another weapon, like somebody like the Packers, maybe, for example, they want. I don't want that to happen.
Yeah,
God,
I don't want that to happen.
But if you're willing to give up maybe a third or a fourth, for 8-10 games of AJ Green and possibly the playoffs and add to your offense, if I'm Cincy, I take that. So I wouldn't be surprised if something like that could happen too.
Well, if you're a Cincy, of course you do that. But what team goes out there and does that? I mean, we're talking about us as fantasy owners not drafting him in the 5th round.
Well, this is with the assumption he stays healthy. Obviously, if he's hurt, that's not going to happen.
He shows it.
But if he's playing in full 5-6 games and he's productive.
Yeah, but the last season that he played 9 games. He made it to the halfway point. That's, you know what I mean? Like,
he made it to the halfway point.
You flip them, man. What do I always say? You flip them. Flip them when they're high.
Oh, that's great. I would love to see AJ Green find a new home. Not the Packers. They can eat up all of Curtis Samuel. Please and thank you. AJ Green, if he landed somewhere like the Patriots or even our Bears, we could use a receiver. We could use another downfield threat. Mm-hmm. I'm not writing home about Ted Ginn Jr. yet. No. So yeah, he could definitely be on the move at the break there at the midway point. If he is producing, he is on the tag. So I love that. We could see a lot of value in making a move like that. How do you want to close it out, Nick, with this AJ Green Boyd?
Just don't get trapped in the names, man. Like you're don't pay for someone's football card. You got to look at how the NFL is evolving. Understand that injuries are a very big part of it. There are some players here that we've talked about that are injury prone, but not like AJ Green. Like they didn't miss a year, a full year. So I just. Tyler Boyd, he's just in line. He's just that guy. He's the dog in that room. Just be smart with it and just keep it simple and just take Tyler Boyd. AJ Green, it's past his time.
Yeah, don't reach for the name on the back of the jersey. You're drafting for your draft grade if you're plugging in AJ Green that early. If you can get him at value, great. If he's your 3rd or 4th receiver, then you did a great job. I mean, if AJ Green is your 3rd starting receiver, that's not a bad thing, guys.
Yeah.
And if you can pull that off, pull the trigger on it. But where he's going and where he's getting drafted, it's just not going to happen. Okay. So to close down the show, we're going to be just touching on some of our season-long props that we're going to be covering. We're going to be doing props with each other all season long. Each of us have one prop with each other times 2. Mm-hmm. So we have 2 props with each other, I should say. So I have one with Nick, one with Emron times 2, them with each other times 2, and then we each have one together. Mm-hmm. So we're going to introduce you to the one that we have together tonight. We're going to be doing a polar plunge prop. So the 2 losers or the 2 lowest totals will be jumping in the water, and the 3rd guy is going to film. So the prop is receiving touchdowns. We each got our dog. Who's yours, Nick?
DeAndre Nuke-Hopkins.
Emron?
I've been hyping him up all episodes, man. Bombs away to Kenny Galladay.
And I got Mike Thomas. So whoever is the leader of those 3 will be filming, and the 2 lowest receiving touchdown totals are going to be in the water, crying for their mamas. I don't know. We'll do it for like a charity of some kind. If you guys want to plug any that you want to recommend that we should be bringing to the forefront, please let us know. Mm-hmm. We'll probably get a good group of picks and then just pick the best one, or I don't know, draw it out of a hat. Something that means something to us, most likely. But we're gonna have a lot of fun with it. Do some more social media stuff. The other props include receiving yards, this guy having more points than this guy, touchdown totals, rushing totals. Some of the other props include getting my head shaved,
sacrificing my beard,
sacrificing Nick's beard.
I think I have to get a grocery carts at a local grocery store.
No, I don't think we got that one in.
No, got that one in?
We didn't get that one.
It was the sign. The sign at a busy intersection that I get to determine what it says.
So me and Emron have one where the loser has to hold up a sign in a busy intersection. We don't get to know what's written on it.
Nick's actually going to write it.
Yeah, Nick gets to be the 3rd party on that one.
Exciting.
We did have one where Superman, or not Superman, but any superhero has to go grocery shopping.
That would be funny.
Yeah, maybe if we're lucky, we'll get.
I actually wouldn't mind losing that.
Yeah, what would you go as?
Ooh, doing
if it's
one on
up
there.
to, if it's up to me, if I had the choice to pick the costume, I'd pick Spider-Man. But
Well, we're definitely not picking Spider-Man.
If it's up to you, if it's going to be up to you, if I lose, it's probably going to be Wonder Woman.
No, we're not doing that.
Nah, old school Aquaman.
Old school Aquaman. Hashtag Big Bang Theory for sure. All right, guys. This was TITTH number 39. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for riding with us. We are getting super pumped for the start of this season. Smash the like button. Share the video. We will see you guys next time. What do you guys got?
But thank you guys for watching. I really do appreciate it. All the support that we've been getting. Getting Twitter followers. Shout out to all my Twitter followers. Appreciate it. Follow us all. We all follow back. And yeah, see you next time, guys.
Yep, guys. You guys keep seeing me point to my jersey I'm wearing. Shout out Rex Grossman. Cost us Super Bowl, but we're by the time you guys see this, we're only going to be 8 days away from the kickoff game of the Chiefs versus the Texans.
3 more months
Holy
left.
hell, I cannot believe it's almost here. We're in single digits right now, guys. We're almost there. We did this.
I'm getting giddy just thinking about it. Other than that 4th pick in Alvin Kamara. I just want it all to be settled, please. All right, guys. TITTH number 39. Thanks for coming by. We'll see you next time. Take care.
See
Be
you
well.
guys.
Later, guys.